We're here to talk about Invincible Wars.
Dude, we've been waiting for this to happen since after season 1 when we read the comics. Pretty much every time we've talked about Invincible, we're like, but when are we going to get Invincible Wars?
So I made a statement previously, I believe it was on the podcast while we were recording, that if by the end of this season we got Invincible Wars and Conquest showing up, then
You're going to shave your head.
I would forgive everything, every single complaint I had about the show. The one that's my favorite is from the Mark that's at the prison, and he says, "You wouldn't even be fit to be a slave in my universe." It's like, damn!
Right?
Yeah, the season 1 finale.
The Adam Eve special.
That's up there. Invincible Wars is up there.
Would that be the top 3?
Yeah, for me, probably.
Welcome to Backseat Directing,
Where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
We put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And today we're talking about the Invincible Wars.
3, 2, 1, action!
I think it's in the closet. Action!
Bum, 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 bum. While we're on the topic of technical errors, your light's blue and mine is yellow.
Yeah, but you have the blue behind you, and I like blue better, so I wanted blue over here.
But it's like Invincible. It's like blue and yellow.
That's right. We lost one of our LED panels this week. So
Don't worry about it.
little moment of silence.
We're here to talk about positive things. We're here to talk about Invincible Wars.
Dude, we've been waiting for this to happen since after season 1 when we read the comics. Pretty much every time we've talked about Invincible, we're like, but when are we going to get Invincible Wars?
Ever since the end of season 1 when we read the comics, and we do have the comics right here, our reference guide, so that we can go through and see what was written as it was written in the original text.
Yeah, so I will say spoilers for Invincible season 3. Right now, 7 of the 8 episodes have come out, so keep that in mind when watching this. If you haven't seen the newest episode yet, maybe click off, come back later.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about, for now, going up to spoilers of the released episodes of Invincible. So up to the end of episode 7, if you've seen that, you're safe. We might warn later in the episode if we're going to go into comics and talk about what we think is going to happen in episode 8, or rather, what we know for a fact is going to happen in episode 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll warn you before we get into that. Do not worry, that won't come up
Definitely.
without warning.
So, what did you think? First impressions here. We've had so much anticipation for this episode. You know, we love it in the comics so much. It's one of my favorite comic stretches that I've ever read. It's nonstop action, has great dialogue, and so many different variations of Mark and Invincible showing up. Did it live up to expectations? What did you think of Invincible Wars? And then we can also talk a little bit about the rest of the season that we've seen up to this point too.
So I made a statement previously, I believe it was on the podcast while we were recording, that if by the end of this season we got Invincible Wars and Conquest showing up, then
You're going to shave your head.
I would forgive every single complaint I had about the show from all 3 seasons. Any complaint I had about it being slow in season 2, about the mid-season finale in season 2, about the animation not improving or not being up to snuff in season 3.
Yeah.
Any of those complaints would just be washed away. And I stand by that.
All right.
I have no more complaints about Invincible.
Okay, let's go.
It gave me exactly what I wanted. And everyone was saying oh no, don't worry, the fights aren't that good or they're filler episodes because they're saving their animation budget and energy for Invincible Wars. And I feel like this episode was balls to the wall, matching the animation levels of season 1 finale with the Omni-Man fight. I feel like it was there. That shot from behind Mark's back when he's fighting all the orbs.
Yeah.
Angstrom's super cool. The movement of Mark as he's avoiding the portals, the movement of Mark versus Mark. I love the Viltrumite fights in this show, the destruction of the environment, the blood, and I feel like
nonstop action.
it was all there in this episode. This is exactly what I want Invincible to be. I want the show to exemplify this, and I get that they can't do that every episode.
But why? Why?
I wish it
They
was.
can. They can.
I wish it wasn't such a drastic difference from this episode to the previous couple episodes.
Yeah, and I can hear it now, like, oh, like this is what it looks like when animators have time, and animators aren't like, working 17 hours. Don't give me that, because you can still have people working a normal day's work, and you just hire more people to work on it. And Amazon has $2 trillion at their disposal. Like, this is one of their biggest properties. Make every episode look like this episode, because I agree with you. This episode was fire. It was everything that we wanted it to be. It's basically straight from the comic. We got this similar matchups, all the different variations of Mark, and it was really good. And I'm glad you said that too, because I had a feeling maybe you would like have some things that you wanted to pick out that you didn't like, but I like that your first reaction was, no, this is exactly what we wanted.
I don't know that there was anything in this episode that I didn't like. I mean, I don't like that Mark decided to basically sit out of day 2 of the fight, but that's what he does in the comics. And like, I just don't like that Mark as a person did that, because I think it was lame. I get why he did it, and he was trying to protect Eve. But Cecil was making some good. Cecil's always in here just making good ass points. He's like, your brother's out there. Mark's like, don't care. Your mom's somewhere out there. Don't care. Come on, dude.
Hey, if your girl was hurt in the middle of Invincible Wars, would you go out there or would you stay with her?
I mean, I would hope I would go out there. He's the strongest person on earth. But yeah, that's not a complaint at all about the show or anything. I'm just like,
that's just his character.
It's like sucking my teeth. Like, come on, Mark.
Yeah.
But man, it was so good. I don't really think I have anything to complain about, and usually I do. I mean, they started it off exactly. So this is from issue 60 of the comics. Issue number 60 encapsulates all of Invincible Wars, and they bled a little bit into issue 61 at the end of the episode with like the carnage and wreckage and the dead bodies repairing the city, and then the appearance of Conquest at the end basically brings us to the end of issue 61. So really 2 issues through the whole episode, but like mostly panel for panel, like very high level panel for panel. They added in some extra dialogue. Obviously stuff between Ray and Rex is new, so that's additional to the show, and that's not going to be in the panels. But I think it did a lot to add characterization and give depth and more sadness to the loss of Rex, which like was very obvious was coming. I feel like the way that they changed it made it more obvious that Rex was going to die. Because just so you know, I'm sorry to ruin movies and shows for you, but whenever a character goes, you know what, life is looking so much better for me, I've changed so much, that means they're about to die. Yeah. And he literally says that like out loud, word for word, when he's talking to Ray, and he's like, the team likes me more, life is going better, everything's looking up. It's like, buddy, you're about to die in the next 20 minutes. But I think that even in the comics, when they didn't have that additional relationship, it was a gut punch to me when Rex died, because they also did a good job in the comics of redeeming him and giving him this arc where he went from being kind of a douche to being a much better guy who was working on himself. He kind of apologized to Eve. He seemed like he was trying to be a better person. But that's a badass death scene, though. What do you have left to charge? My skeleton. Yeah. Dude, I was so hyped for that. I told Sierra doesn't really watch the show, my fiance. She's kind of been out of it since season 1. But when Rex blew up his skeleton before he did, I told her, I was like, you should look up and watch this, because this is about to be really cool.
She's just like sobbing over there. Like, no.
Dude, one of my favorite parts of the whole episode was all the lines. They took lines that are from the comics, right? From the alternate marks, but they expanded on them too. Like the one that's my favorite is from the Mark that's at the prison, and he says, you wouldn't even be fit to be a slave in my universe. I was like, damn! Okay, dude, chill out. Yeah. That's the craziest roast I've ever heard. And yeah, he was just going in on the people. And so they added extra,
whale poop, and then there's you.
And they added extra stuff to all these, like, because there's one panel to just show you where they're all at, the different marks and the destruction they're causing. And that's his line. That Mark says, you wouldn't even be fit to be a slave in my universe. But like they say a little bit more, and they give a little bit more in the show because it's longer format. Man, this is something special, dude. What did you like most about the episode? Anything that's jump out to you?
I liked all the action. I like that they actually animated everything that was in the issue of Invincible Wars, because I was worried that would maybe like skip some stuff, or make it a little more dialogue heavy in certain aspects. But I think they did a good job of starting it right away. Like
And like
as soon as the episode started off, we're getting the Invincibles coming out of the portal right away. And right there, oh shoot, like this is what we've been waiting for.
I kind of feel one thing that I feel like kind of undercut it, and it didn't undercut it for me because I already knew it was going to happen. But for people who were just watching the show, I feel like they maybe tipped their cap a little bit too much and kind of showed what was coming, especially with the online marketing, like releasing the picture of the Invincibles coming through the portal. I mean, you can figure that when you see Angstrom Levy with a bunch of marks, you can figure that's what he's going to do. But they kind of told you, like, in this next episode, you're going to see a bunch of Invincibles come and attacking Earth. And in the comics, to me, I just felt like, as I remember it, it was such a shock.
Yeah.
A crazy shock. Because I'm going to try to look back and see if...
Yeah, did we even get that, like, hint?
With the orbs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I think there might have been an orb watching him, but in the show, that one post-credits... Oh, yeah. See, way back here in a previous issue...
Oh, yeah. Go to the page right before that, and you see all the variations of marks.
Yeah, so they tip their cap in the comics too. And here's the orb too.
Yeah, maybe it's just not as obvious of like what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I think so.
They did put out a lot of like clips and stuff for this episode.
I'm shocked.
I was avoiding all of them.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to see this yet.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw a picture of Conquest this morning.
I did too, and I was like,
devastating.
Is this just one of those fan animation things, or is this like actual? And then I was like, no, this is probably actually Conquest because he's supposed to show up this episode. And I was like, no.
Why are you posting that as like the thumbnail or like
I saw it on YouTube?
Yeah, why on earth would you do that? It's so messed up.
Yeah. They should be
to our thumbnail.
All right, we gotta do that now. That's hilarious.
No, but genuinely, that's so annoying. Because at least our thing's going to probably come out on Monday, and you've had a couple days to watch it. I saw it this morning. The episode just dropped.
Yeah. That's why I thought it was like a fan thing, because I've seen a few of those. And then I was like, no, like this looks too close to the animation of the show. All right, well, since you brought up Conquest, what'd you think of his entrance?
Dude, it's Jeffrey Dean fucking Morgan.
Yeah.
It's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Oh my God. Did he get confirmed as voice acting? Because I don't remember him being confirmed as voice acting.
No, I didn't know that was his voice.
I had to look it up. It is. It's Jeffrey Dean Morgan, baby. It's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. This is what I was asking for. I was like, this would be smack dab perfect casting.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I don't think I liked his voice.
I like it.
I don't think I did.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
See, I don't know. You sounded more like deep and authoritative than he did to me.
I think your expectations are probably really high.
Yeah.
I can't complain because I asked for it to be Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So when they give me exactly what I asked for, I can't complain.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see maybe a little bit bassier, but we've got such a little portion of his dialogue.
I know. That's why I'm trying not to be too hard on it just now, because
Conquest likes to monologue.
Yeah,
his love for battle.
Talks, right. He's kind of like Battle Beast in a way, Dude, the Viltrumite version.
That one mark was great at that. I like my name.
The Mohawk mark?
No, the other one. My name for him is Bloodthirsty Mark, the one who was fighting the Guardians inside their base.
Yeah.
He kept talking
without the glasses, right?
Yeah, he kept talking about how much he loved fighting, and he's like, oh, you guys are great. Like, he's like,
oh, what did he say when he died?
He's like, I don't really stop living anymore. Or something he was just enjoying battling so much.
And then he got hit, and he's like, come on, man, you ruined the moment.
Dude, we get so many good new Mark quotes. Like, before we just had Sinister Mark in season 2. He's like, you're making me feel bad, man. Steven Yeun, I hope they give him a goddamn bonus for this episode.
Really?
Because as soon as the episode...
They can't, though, because then we would have all still images for the next season.
They can afford it. No, they can afford it, like you said. No, but at the beginning of the episode, I said, dude, he is about to put in overtime in this episode. He's going to voice 20 characters. It's just himself. And he was doing different voices.
Yeah.
Slight variations. Like, obviously, he's not going to start doing like, Mark Grayson, like, but just a little bit of character difference. Like the Omni-Man Mark, I think, kind of talks like more quietly and like somber, like calm, like maybe like weathered, has had a tough life.
Yeah.
And then like the
mask Mark was kind of whiny a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah, like missing his mom. And then the Mohawk one was like more a little higher pitched, like kind of like bratty.
He was a dick.
Yeah. So there was a little, you could hear these variations, and I was like, man, it's crazy that he's not this career voice actor, because obviously he started out like in The Walking Dead and acting, and he's been in a bunch of movies. To hear his talent in voice acting, you would think this is what he does his whole life, because he's been so consistently good in every season. He's been my favorite voice actor every season, maybe except for the first, because like Omni-Man's voice acting, J.K. Simmons was so good in the first. I think Mark has been top of the heap seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But he's been right there even in season 1. His deliveries, the emotional deliveries are so good. It's like, what does he say in season 1 where he's like, I don't give a fuck about Viltrum. Yeah, you expect me to kill all my friends or some people I'd never even met? He's like, he gets so into it and delivers so well on like on all of his lines.
Yeah.
I love him, and I thought he kicked ass in this episode, voicing all these different characters, and you could close your eyes and hear a little bit of difference in each of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Which was your favorite, alternate Mark?
I like Sinister Mark.
I love Sinister Mark.
No medicine, and I love cape.
The cape.
Dude,
Omni-Man Mark has a cape, and his outfit is fly as hell.
No, I know.
Omni-Man Mark is so cool.
I know. He's up there. I like the Mohawk Mark. I liked his
energy.
Personality. Yeah. Like you already said that one line where you wouldn't even be a slave where I came from. It's crazy. I don't know. How do you pick a favorite? They're all so cool. Yeah,
I have
pretty much all the ones that had a lot of lines. I really enjoyed all of them on screen.
When it comes to picking, and also they kept all the best ones around to the end. I feel like all my favorite ones were still the final 8 or whatever that Angstrom put onto another universe.
Right.
I was like, these are the best outfits. Like, so my favorite outfit is harder to choose than my favorite one in the episode, because the Omni-Man Mark is fly as hell.
Yeah.
The Sinister Mark looks awesome.
I'll pick
the full masked one, black mask. He looks so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, the 2 masked ones, the yellow like mask that
with that kind of with the cape.
Yeah, it's like a face.
Yeah.
And then the other one has like the skin tight Spider-Man mask that's black.
Yeah.
And that one's really cool. Did you have? Yeah. What were you saying? Did you pick one?
Well, I was gonna say I think I'll go with Sinister Mark.
That's a good pick,
because it's a big contrast to what our Invincible.
Oh, he's just like
they're
all so like brutal and unemotional. Like they're talking about, I've killed my mom before, I've killed my dad before.
Yeah.
I think my favorite visually is got to be probably Prisoner Mark. But then I really liked Omni-Man Mark, or not Omni-Man, but the Viltrumite Mark with the Viltrumite suit a lot too. He might be next. And then my favorite.
We didn't get to see much of him.
No,
he was out in space with Tech Jacket.
He got beat to crap.
Yeah.
But there was 2 of them. There's one with a mustache, I think, and one without. So I think we still have one in Viltrumite robes, if I'm not mistaken, from the very end.
I know you might be right.
My favorite overall is what I'm calling Bloodthirsty Mark. I just loved all his lines. He was just having a good time, loving the fight.
Yeah.
He's a monster, dude.
I don't like the way Forehead Mark looks.
Forehead Mark?
Yeah.
Is he the one with the long hair?
He's the one. No, he's the one who Rex Blode killed.
Oh.
Because he has like the goggles, they're a little bit bigger, and then his forehead is like not covered on the
forehead mark.
So
he was pretty cool though, like in terms of his action.
Yeah. But I'm just saying I don't like his mask. Is all.
I like how the one Mark has a Viltrumite Invincible costume. It's the Invincible costume with like a little bit more black, and then the Viltrumite logo on the shoulders, and it's like a mesh. They just got so cool and creative with their designs for the different marks.
Yeah.
So much fun. This episode is packed, jam-packed. And then some of the other episodes feel like the Mr. Liu episode feels empty. And then this episode is chock full.
Yeah. They didn't have any PNGs just being keyframed across the frame either.
Dude, and what I love to see from them is when they move and the environment, like the ground cracks, there's a big gust of wind. It makes me feel the impact of like Viltrumites are fast as crap. So they do that a bunch in this episode, him like redirecting and like these jets of air flying off. It looks so good.
What'd you think of the Armstrom Levy stuff in this episode?
I think that Sterling K. Brown's kicking ass at delivering his lines. I thought that the final fight with Mark and him was, I really enjoyed it. Like the Mark learning from his mistakes.
Got a lot of warps.
Yeah, there was. I think he was also recycling them, right? Like the portal behind him was like feeding them back through in a loop.
Well, then if that's the case, Invincible should have gone through that one.
Back, hit him in the back of the head. But I think that I liked it personally. Like it was really good at the end of season 2 as well. But I thought it was cool to see. To me, finally feel like Mark was learning from his mistakes and improving, because he had fought him before and got fooled a bunch of times, sent into a bunch of portals by mistake, and could have been stuck there.
Didn't get there once.
Yeah, and he kept dodging, he kept redirecting, so he's using everything.
Like when he was flying backwards and then he stopped. He was like starred out. Yeah. That was so cool.
And his dad taught him, like, we move in this 3-dimensional space, like you can stop on a dime. He taught him that in season 1, and it feels like he's finally using that to the full extent of his ability. He's being aware of his surroundings. He's learning from his mistakes. And I was like, this is what you're missing from the rest of season 3. He's so much stronger and faster, but getting his ass whooped. Now he's actually using it to beat Angstrom Levy. Right. And then the way the music swelled when he finally started taking out the orbs, I was like, let's go.
And you can argue like, oh, like he's in this episode, he's not holding back at all. I don't understand that argument, right?
That's no control of how much.
We've talked about this a lot on social media, but we haven't really talked about it on the actual podcast. But basically, a big complaint of ours throughout this season is that he keeps getting his butt whooped, but he's supposed to be, what, 38% stronger than he was before?
130% stronger.
So he's got to show that to us. But he keeps getting beaten by opponents that he's already faced. And everyone in our comments of our social media posts is like, yeah, but he's holding back because he doesn't want to kill again. That doesn't make any sense.
He just fought an alternate Mark. Tell me that the Maulers were stronger than the alternate Mark?
Right, like, just because I'm stronger than someone I'm fighting doesn't mean I'm going to let them kick my ass, you know? I think you're the one who brought up, like, if you were to fight a 10-year-old, like, you're not going to use all of your strength to punch the 10-year-old and knock them dead.
But I'm also not going to let them just tap me out.
Yeah, right. Which I think that's a great analogy to this, you know, go like just toughen up a little bit to where, you know, you break the Mauler's hand on your head and then you slam them to the ground. I don't know.
If somebody's so weak that I'm lowering my amount of strength to not hurt them, how are they?
Was your defense so lowered too?
Then shouldn't their like punch not hurt me that much?
Right.
If you're that much weaker than me that I have to worry about accidentally killing you.
And I get it. Maybe like in order for them to like protect themselves, they have to like actually be like concentrating, like kind of like flexing a muscle, you know, like if you're relaxed, like then you can get hit. But if you're flexed, you're like Superman. Do that then, you know?
Yeah, but it's like, even if he was shot by a bullet in his sleep, it still wouldn't pierce his skin. So it's like, I don't know. I don't totally get the arguments against it. I know people feel very strongly about this. We've made a lot of Invincible content lately and got a ton of engagement in comments. So I definitely want to address a couple of these things. I feel like you really hit the nail on the head with the fighting thing. We'll probably get comments about that again. I want to talk about the animation too.
Yes.
Like, because this episode is such a big gap from the other episodes in terms of the amount of movement they show us.
Yep.
And then I feel like there's some more shadows and some more detail.
Yeah,
you know, as well.
Definitely. The environment, especially when kind of the sun is a little bit lower and like you see those big cityscapes and it looks like a painting.
That looked great in the Powerplex episode too.
So detailed. And it's not just like, oh, that was just the wide shot. They did spend more time in a still image. Like, no, they were like moving through that environment, you know, and it was looking really colorful and contrast. It had a lot of contrast and depth to it. Like they weren't just fighting in, you know, a plain desert or whatever, you know, like.
Yeah. Do you remember the shot when they're moving back from the different Mark faces and their eyes have like fire reflecting in it, reflecting in the eyes and the goggles? It looked awesome.
Yeah.
And the movement of the fire and everything, like that looked like detailed, beautiful animation. Yeah, we're not bringing that to every episode.
Right. And I just don't understand why they can't do that every episode. And people are like, oh, because I would rather have the animation be like it is and get a season every year.
I'm glad you brought
Why
that up.
can't you have both? I don't understand.
I'm glad you brought that up because when I said I wanted to talk about these things, I wanted to talk about some of the comments we're getting a lot.
Yeah.
And that's one I've been getting a lot. It's people telling me, oh, the people who are complaining about the animation are the same people that'll complain that the show's taking too long to come out. And I'm going to be real with you. I did not complain very much when we didn't get Invincible for 3 years. I was like, oh, they're working hard on making sure it's good. I read the comics because I couldn't wait. And I now know that the story is so excellent that I want them to do it justice. And then season 2 came out and I did complain because I said, why did it take them 3 years to put out the same quality that they put out in season 1 and a mid-season break at the same time?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm obligated to forgive them for all of their woes because they gave me Invincible
after this episode.
Yeah. But like, I'm just saying at that time, that was a big complaint of mine. It's like, why wait 3 years if you guys weren't gonna up the game? And then they released that teaser trailer with Peaceful that tricked me into thinking they did up the animation.
That trailer looked amazing.
Yeah.
Where they're in that diner. They also did one with Alan the Alien there too. Yeah, that the lighting and stuff looked way different in that than we get in the show. But you said season 2 was like kind of on the same level as season 1. I don't think that's the case. I think season 2, felt even more of like just kind of like the PNG kind of sliding across.
They spent all their time on the Adam Eve special, which was balls to the wall. That was amazing.
Fire. That honestly, top 3 episode of the whole show. Yeah, maybe even like top 2.
I want to say 2 because I have one comment at least that said they didn't even know that the Adam Eve special existed. I think it was on one of the ones you made. And guys, check out the Adam Eve special. It's on Amazon Prime.
So good.
Takes place in between season 1 and season 2. It's a flashback showing Adam Eve's backstory. But you can just search Adam Eve special if you haven't seen it, you haven't found it. It's excellent. It's like an hour long, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, the action is phenomenal.
Yeah, and very true to the comic. And I didn't know the comic existed, even though me and Aaron read all the comics. It's part of like an auction. A special. It's Invincible Universe comics. So
yeah. But yeah, that was really cool. But ever since that Adam Eve stuff, the animation has been a lot lower. There's been moments, like the Anissa fight or even portions of the Viltrumite fight that we got in season 2 that were kind of on the same level. But the show, when you take a step back, definitely feels like it's taken a downgrade from season 1. I feel like the characters look a little more detailed. Their movement was a little more dynamic. There's like multiple big time action sequences in the first season that have way more detail and choreography than what we've gotten in season 2 and into 3 here until this episode. But I don't understand why we can't have both. I'm not sure I didn't watch Avatar: The Last Airbender when it was coming out, so I'm not sure how much time was in between all of their seasons. But their animation, every single episode, phenomenal. Every single episode, all the characters are moving pretty much all of the time when they're the ones performing an action. Multiple times, the person or character that's performing an action is frozen in space and is just being slid across the screen or like duplicated across the screen. And people are like, oh, well, like the comics have so much more detail. Well, they can't do that in animation.
Well, first of all,
animating the animation.
Also, they could. It's possible. Like if you watch a show like Arcane, and I get it, years between Arcane season 1 and season 2.
Modeling, Andrew.
I get it. Arcane's a masterpiece. It's 3D animation. But it's possible to animate in detail, tell a great story, and to like have a ton of movement and stylistic choices. It can be done. It's been done before. And Invincible, the company, you can't tell me they have less money to put into this than Arcane. Netflix had to put into Arcane. Like there's no reason they should.
So Arcane, I think, is the most expensive animated show ever made.
But Netflix Prime is a bigger company than.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say next. But then also, like, why can't it at least be on the same level as Avatar: The Last Airbender or Korra? Because I would say Korra's animations maybe even a little more developed than.
It's really good. The Korra and the movement and fights are amazing.
It's so good,
it's even better than Avatar: Last Airbender. But I guess it's a little unfair to compare something to like the best quality anime. I'd probably say Arcane's the best animated show that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
At least cartoon for sure. I'm just like separating anime. It's kind of a different style, so it's hard to compare.
Yeah, I feel like the only way that that's not like this a super like parallel comparison is because one is more of like that kind of 2D style and one's like 3D style.
But I mean, just in terms of
But like
the
resources and stuff, you know, like I don't understand why we're able to do it over here with a good story and better than great animation. The best animation that we've seen, maybe tied with Spider-Verse. And then we have this, you know, which is, I get their whole vibe is like, hey, this is a Sunday or a Saturday cartoon show, but like, does it have to be animated like it came out in 95 as well? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's maybe even not even nice to a 95 show that's coming out.
I would like to compare it to like Justice League the animated series. I'd be interested to play them side by side because they probably have a fair amount of PNG style.
Even like something recent, like Creature Commandos. Like,
That's
what
great.
animation would you say is better?
Creature Commandos
Yeah, and
on the average.
yeah, and then what show do you like more?
Invincible.
What has a better story?
Invincible.
What has better voice acting?
Invincible.
Okay,
But let's just acknowledge the fact that Creature Commandos has amazing voice acting.
Yeah, they do.
Creature Commandos has really good
they
voice acting.
do. They do.
But
Oh boy,
Nazis. But Invincible has Steven Yeun. So
yes. So why can't they? I'm missing the gap here. You know, I don't think I'll be able to be convinced just because of how much money Amazon has.
You're not convincible.
No. Like, are you?
No.
Can they justify the animation? I know you said you're going to forgive all.
I have to.
Okay.
And I'm glad to, because I would have made a deal with the devil
Yeah.
to have the end of the season finally give us. I didn't know how long they were going to tease Invincible Wars and Conquest, and we get to have the actual fight with Conquest coming up soon. Like,
okay, let's go into that. If you haven't read the comics, possible spoilers. Even though I feel like you've probably already heard these spoilers anyways.
It's impossible to
not
avoid this
necessarily from
nowadays.
us, but I feel like this has been all over. But yeah, if you haven't read the comics and you don't know what happens with Conquest, maybe sign off now. We thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that subscription button and notification bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. We're also going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again this week, so make sure you check out that episode as well. But yeah, so we're going into Conquest now. Conquest shows up at the end of this episode. What's his line that he says?
Oh, stand ready for my arrival, worm.
Yeah, so good. So good.
When he went back into the city and when Cecil asked him to go back into the city, I was like, here we go. It's coming up right now.
How long do you think it took Conquest to find Invincible? On Earth. You think he's just like
straight down
all around Earth? Like, where is this guy?
That is a good question.
I'd like to think that he just saw him and just went right
you could
to
say
him.
like, oh, he probably went to where the most damage was, but every major city on Earth was destroyed. So, or you think he flew like straight into where he was coming from, and he was like, "You're never gonna believe this, Mark. This is crazy coincidence.
We should fight.
You're exactly who I'm looking for." Imagine if he had showed up like a day earlier. Dude. There was a bunch of marks. He would have helped probably. Yeah, he would have helped Earth.
Yeah, he's like, oh, perfect. You're taking over your post.
He would have knocked heads, man.
Yeah. Okay, so he shows up. They have their little bit of dialogue. Invincible is basically saying like, hey, like I just been through a lot. Like now's not a good time. Like the whole world is destroyed.
Everything you see around you. This is all my fault.
Yeah. So all I want to do right now is hit something as hard as I can. And then they fly at each other. We have that image in the comics. I was hoping we'd get that wide shot of them flying in together, but they gave us a closer shot. And
they kind of zoomed in super quick.
I didn't like that. I wanted that, you know. But we didn't get that. But that's okay. We're close. So now
he's such a well-designed character. He's wearing so much of his past on his body.
Yeah.
He's got the metal arm where his arm was severed by the Ragnar. He's got
Giant
the
scar.
scar across his face with his one eye is all white, like he doesn't even have that functioning eye. You know, he's just wearing it all on his sleeve.
So the Invincible Wars is only one issue in the comics. And then in issue, 61, we get the kind of the damage and the Powerplex stuff. And then Conquest shows up.
The Arrival.
But then the next 3 issues, right,
Mhm.
is Conquest.
62, 63, 64.
That's crazy. So that makes me think that episode 8 of season 3 is not the only time we're going to see Conquest, right?
Well, it certainly won't be because he comes back later.
Well,
But you mean,
I mean in this
you think
fight.
you think the fight's going to go on?
I don't know.
I think they're going to finish the fight this season because, like you said, they don't really end on cliffhangers.
Yeah.
I think you
But-
said that last episode we did, right?
They haven't so far, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's only been 2 seasons, so you know, they're not. It's kind of like a coincidence, you know, like we don't have a pattern necessarily yet.
If
Do you
they
think-
did, I think I'd be gutted.
Do you think maybe they can't? I feel like there's no good stopping point in the middle of this fight, right?
There's not
For a year break,
There's not a part where it slows down.
like
There's a couple of shocking
yeah,
points.
we've already said spoilers, so again,
Where there's a part where Oliver gets gravely injured and a part where Eve basically
dies. Yeah, we warned you. So
Which, how much of a badass is Eve for coming out of a coma and rushing to Mark's side to help, like,
yeah,
fight Conquest?
so do you think her death could be the end of the season, or do you think they're going to wrap all of that and Mark is going to end up killing or wait, no, he doesn't die here, right?
No, he doesn't kill him. Because they put him in this underground prison, and that he breaks out of once he wakes up.
Okay.
Peaceful has him underground. So I think
Do you think all that would happen in this episode?
the thing is, the fight doesn't go on very much longer after Eve gets stabbed through the stomach. So I feel like it'd be an awkward amount of story to leave on the table. I think it's probably would just end with the end of the fight.
So you think we're going to get these 3 issues condensed into one episode, even though the one episode or I guess 2 issues were kind of fit into this one episode here?
Well, this fight is just in so much detail in the comics. It's not really stuff that would take a lot of time on screen, you know? These are all just hits and damage and showing where other characters are in relation in space.
Are you okay if the Conquest fight only lasts 1 episode?
Yeah, I mean, Invincible Wars only lasted 1 episode, and I thought it was great. One
I
episode
thought it was great,
is
too.
50 minutes, you know? If we get a 40-minute fight, that would, I think, satiate my appetite for
I don't wanted it to be longer. I just remember like experiencing the Invincible Wars into the Conquest stuff for like a long period of time, you know, in comparison to a lot of the other events in Invincible. And I was kind of hoping that we would get that same feeling from watching the show, you know, rather than it just kind of being like the Omni-Man fight, you know, it was 1 episode and we're good.
I think 2 full episodes of these characters fighting might get a little bit repetitive, just like hit, you know, like
Cool.
there is a lot of
Sign me
dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue to break it up, and then new people come in, Oliver's helping out, Eve's helping out. I just think that
Just doesn't
it would get a
translate
little bit,
in
I
that
don't
way.
think it translates as well to being longer.
So then he's gonna beat him in this episode then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But luckily we'll get some more Conquest yet to come later on in the story. But I mean, even though it's only going to be 1 episode, I think it'll be awesome. The Omni-Man fight with Mark is only 1 episode, and it's probably to date my favorite episode of the show. I think I can say, even following Invincible Wars, I'd probably still say that. You seem like you have to.
No, I'm thinking.
on it
Yeah,
more.
I'm thinking. So like, we have the season 1 finale, right? That's the one you were just talking about,
Well, yes, yeah. I thought, yeah.
right?
Yeah, the season 1 finale.
The Adam Eve special.
That's up there. Invincible
Invincible
Wars
Wars
is up there.
Would that be the top 3?
Yeah, for me probably. Because the first episode is great, but it's really carried by the last 5 minutes.
Right.
And then the Anissa fight is great, but
That also wasn't that long.
not very long either.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of what happens on Thraxa. I think that was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think season 3 episodes 1 and 2 are good, but I don't think they compete. So I think I think those 3 episodes clear.
Yeah. And the beginning episodes of this season were pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh,
Season 3, episode 1 and 2.
I guess I just totally like
ignored that.
blanked out there for a minute. I was thinking about what I liked.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to you
You're thinking
anymore.
the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, what
simultaneously.
should I say next?
It's a big part of this job.
Yeah.
No, but I think
you gotta, part of being a podcast host is you always have to have words like ready to go, you know? So sometimes you end up not listening to the other words that are being said.
But the Conquest episode could easily come in and shift those rankings.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my favorite
comic
issues I've read ever.
So would that push out, is that the order for you? The season finale of season 1, then the Adam Eve special, and then Invincible Wars? Would that be your order? Your top 3 there? I mean,
Invincible Wars might be 2.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
That's probably because you've seen it last.
Yeah.
I bet you if you go out there and watch the Adam Eve special right now.
Even if I just watched a YouTube clip of Adam Eve on the bridge,
dude, all I can see is like her like arms like outstretched, swinging people around. Dude, it was so cool.
She takes the car and puts it on a ramp, and then they're coming at her, and she's making.
It was such a dynamic fight, right?
Yeah, and it's long. Yeah, it's like a 20-minute fight.
Yeah.
And it's emotional.
If you don't want to have to like pick one of those out, instead of doing a podium, we could do the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
that means there's one more spot.
I love that idea.
So we'll do that.
Conquest is going to go up there.
We'll do our Mount Rushmore next week.
But 2 of the best episodes being in the end of this season is pretty cool. I think at one point early on in our guesswork, you said that if they put both of these fights into season 3, we should get the best season of television history. I still don't think I would call it that.
I don't know if I agree with that either.
Yeah, because of the rest of the season. I think when you said it like made sense. Like, if the rest of the season is on par of maybe season 1.
I really think there's 2 issues or things that are holding it back from that. And I think that is, the bigger one is the animation, which we touched on. And then the second thing I think that kind of holds it back just a little bit is the inconsistency of the power scaling.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about a little bit. That applies to when Invincible's getting his butt whooped by these opponents that he's already beaten in the past. But it applies to other characters as well. But it's a good season of television.
I still think we'll be getting 2 of the best episodes of television that I've ever seen. Like maybe close. Top 25 best episodes. Maybe at least top 50 probably. Because I'm really excited for this Conquest episode. I'm telling you guys, I'm sure you've read the comics if you're at this far, I hope. But that fight, I don't know how well you remember it, but I'm looking at it and it is amazing. It is amazing. I don't know how panel for panel they're going to go with it, but my favorite panel from the whole fight is Conquest shoving Invincible's face through a battleship, and they need to animate that. This fight traverses the Earth too, just like the Omni-Man fight. They go to space. They go.
Yeah, I feel like they will.
They've been so true to the Invincible Wars. I think they'll be true to this one. Very bloody fight.
How exciting.
Dude,
let's go.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I don't have anything else to say other than like, I want to see this now, Oh,
one thing I thought was a funny Easter egg in this episode that I don't think was in the comics is Darkwing gets slammed by Bloodthirsty Mark the exact same way that Darkwing did in episode 1 when he died. He takes him, grabs him by the foot, and slams him into the ground. That's how Omni-Man killed Darkwing.
So does that show that
he's stronger?
Yeah, Bloodthirsty Mark isn't as strong, or does that show that the Darkwing is stronger than the other Darkwing?
I think new Darkwing might have like an upgraded tech exoskeleton, because I feel like he's withstood more damage.
Yeah, we can go with that.
One of the marks said that they killed Omni-Man, and I was like, how are they taking this guy down? How are they taking this guy down? Is his universe's Omni-Man like a lot weaker by some?
That was Sinister Mark, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
They said I killed my dad.
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to stop me?
Right.
That's brutal, Mark.
Well, that's crazy. There's more Omni-Mans out there.
Imagine if they brought Omni-Mans. I don't remember. I know there's more encounters with Mohawk Mark. I don't remember like all these 8 marks coming back in some Mark team up. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to reread the comics.
Yeah. So do they just vanish in this desert?
No way that in terms of storytelling, that just would be a big
loop
gap,
end,
you know? So there has to be some way that they come back.
Yeah. All right, what do you guys think? Are you guys enjoying season 3 as much as we are, especially this last episode of the Invincible Wars? What do you guys think is going to happen going into the last episode of this season 3? Man, if you're not already, check out our social medias. We've been posting videos daily there talking about Invincible and other relevant content, like Daredevil just came out. We did some stuff on the Oscars as well. That was a week ago or so. So if you haven't already, check out our pages on social media. We post new full episodes every Monday and Thursday. Make sure you hit that subscription bell and notification button. I think I said those backwards again, but that's okay. Hit both of them, and then you don't have to worry about it. If you want to join the conversation even further, which you should, you can check out our Discord. It's linked in the description of this video. But Andrew's going to tell you how much it is because I don't like talking about money.
Yeah, Aaron's not a money guy. I'm a financier.
Yeah.
So if you liquidate some of your stocks and bonds, then you might be able to afford our new high price of free.
Yep, totally free. Just click on the link, and if for some reason it doesn't work because I didn't update it, just leave a comment and I'll send you the updated link. Thanks so much for watching, and that's a wrap.